Hey, you're listening to Stop the Scroll, a social media marketing podcast, and I'm your host, Heidi Schmidt. I'm a social media strategist and agency owner with over 15 years of marketing experiences helping businesses grow online. We'll be diving into what you need to know so that you can show up confidently online without the overwhelm. Get your notebook ready to jot down some amazing marketing gems, and let's dive into it. Welcome back to another episode of Stop the Scroll. I'm your host, Heidi Schmidt, and I'm here to talk all things marketing and social media. Consider me your marketing best friend. Anyhow, today I wanted to kind of talk about some Instagram updates that you've probably heard about. If you follow lots of social media people, they've probably been talking about them. And I want to kind of talk about what's important to know and what's not so important to know. So first things first, Instagram is changing its ranking algorithm. So what does that mean? It's changing how content gets found. So there are ranking factors. We think about it as in the past, typically Instagram posts would have to kind of get engagement. It would only be shown to your followers first. And if it got engagement, and then it would be showed to your non-followers. So now they're kind of changing things a little bit here. And they are kind of moving things to show to non-followers first. And based on the engagement, they'll continue to show it to non-followers and followers. So rather than waiting for your followers to engage with it for it to be seen by non-followers, they're going to show content, reels, and posts to non-followers also in conjunction with being shown to your followers. And obviously, engagement is still a big factor about how many people it sees, but they really kind of recognized, Instagram did, that bigger accounts were really benefiting from this because they have more followers to see. So this is ideally to benefit kind of the smaller creators. Does that also mean businesses with smaller followings? Well, maybe we'll find out. But anyhow, so the ranking factors are kind of changing as to how our content gets seen, which is a really great thing because for months, years, Instagram was telling us reach doesn't matter. Reach doesn't matter. Reach does matter. And it matters to a lot of people who work in social media. Don't tell me what doesn't matter at Moseri. I want my clients' content to be seen by other accounts. I want them to attract followers. So I need my content to get seen by non-followers. So this is a really good change, especially for accounts with smaller followings. So let's also kind of just chat for a second about how the Instagram algorithm works, because aside from, kind of prioritizing being shown to non-followers, it also kind of helps to understand how the Instagram algorithm kind of considers what to show to people. So they really try to serve the right content to the right people. So if you engage with lots of cat videos, you're going to see lots of cat videos because it's going to think oh, you're interested in cat videos. So based on what you engage with, it's going to say, okay, this is something that you're interested in. So if you engage with lots of cooking videos, I swear Instagram probably knows that my cat died almost a month ago because it's not showing me cat videos anymore. There's some suspicion that the Meta app is always listening to you. I don't necessarily believe that, but I wouldn't also be surprised. Maybe they saw my stories about my cat dying. I don't know. So it's going to show you content based on your interests and also based on popularity. So how quickly does a post get that engagement? It really, really matters. This is super important for all my clients that your posts get engagement probably within that first hour. And whether or not it's best practice or not, a lot of my clients do business with each other. So I will cross-engage just to kind of kick off that engagement aspect with a lot of my clients' accounts, because I know that first 15, 30, 60 minutes that a post is posted, that engagement really, really matters. And it still matters. It's still going to matter even with this new algorithm change. So kind of another big change that they've been making is weighing reels a little less heavily. They're kind of focusing a little bit more on stories and static posts, which is also good because not everyone likes being on video. And I think that this is trying to combat some of the accusations that they're just competing with TikTok, and people go to TikTok because they want to be on TikTok. Instagram has always been a visual app, Do not underestimate the power of static posts, especially static posts that are very visually attractive. Because listen, I see some reels and yeah, they're entertaining, but like, let's get out of this distraction economy that we're in. Can we please, for the love of goodness, and I say this as someone who does social media for a living, I'll have to talk about that another time. It was recently in an Atlantic article, and if I can find it, because it was fed to me on my feed, maybe through Apple News, but if I can find it, I will link to it in the show notes about how we've gone from a arts and culture society to an entertainment society to a distraction society, and it's going to be the downfall of us all. Fascinating. Anyhow, another change that Instagram made, and this is not necessarily in this most recent algorithm update, but replays. So when the number of times that someone watches the same reel over and over and over again counts to that view count. Previously, it did not. So you could be someone who watches a reel, and this is why a lot of social media managers try to get the replay loop because it helps boost up that view count, which ultimately matters for it to be shown to non-followers. So because popularity matters for it to continue to be shown by non-followers. We know, and this is not a new thing, but I'm just going to remind y'all, like, because I'm all about repurposing content, but for the love of goodness, you need to remove your TikTok watermark from your video before you reshare it to your Instagram account, and vice versa. I have certainly shared Instagram Reels to TikTok, and guess what? They get garbage views. So always make sure that you are removing that watermark. There are tools that do that. I think SnapTik is one where you can just like get the link. I don't know if it necessarily removes the watermark, but you can certainly like play around and like zoom into things, whatever. Another big change that they've made, and this obviously this is not a big thing for my clients because we don't do this. We don't just aggregate content. However, if you are someone who likes to reshare some of that user generated content, basically there are lots of like content aggregators out there. You probably see this with those dang cat videos who will take someone's cat video and like reshare it to their account and get, millions of views for it. Instagram is going to start adding labels to reposted content, and they want to really reward that original content. So the original content creator will ultimately be tagged, and they're going to start removing some of those aggregators from recommendations. This is kind of important. I remember I had a client a couple of years ago, and a lot of what their previous social media manager had been sharing that was getting like lots of views and lots of likes and lots of engagement was reposted content. And I remember telling her when I first started working with her, like, that's not really doing you any good. Like, one, that's not about your services. Like, it's inspirational content. Sure, it's fun, it's engaging, but is that going to get people in your door? Meh, maybe not. So when you're resharing content, like if it's user generated content and you want to credit that original poster and get their permission, absolutely. Share it as a collaboration. Like that's what collaborators are for on Instagram. So you get to tap into that other audience. So if you're going to do user generated content or repost things, do it that way. Do it a legitimate way. Don't just do it without permission. Like that's a huge, huge, huge no-no. Two, collaborate with people and do thoughtful collaborations and thoughtful. I don't even want to call it aggregated content because it should be a part of your social media strategy. If that's a part of it, if user generated content is a part of your social media strategy, then have a strategy to obtain that non-original content legitimately. It's really that simple. Don't just take someone's content in your industry that you think is really interesting and one, not tag them because Instagram is going to know. And two, like use it without permission. Like always get permission. Even if it's someone in your industry and you're like, hey, this is really great. Do you mind if I reshare it? Or reshare it to stories where you can tag them and add your little thought like, oh my God, this is such helpful information. There are ways to reshare content that is not yours that is legitimate. I don't necessarily recommend it on Instagram. There were some people talking about Meta Verified. And I actually got an email from a few people that were like, Instagram wants you to pay for reach. First of all, that's clickbaity. Second of all, I'm saying this because most of my audience is US based. That does not impact us. It's fear mongering at its best by social media managers who just are taking the headlines and not giving any context. So basically, what people are taking is meta verified. There's meta verified for creators and personal accounts, and then there's meta verified for businesses. The business verification, which has tiered accounts that basically get you, I don't even remember what it said that it got you, like featured account, links and reels, all that kind of stuff. That's for businesses. And if you have $350 a month to drop on that, then go for it. If you live in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and now Argentina, Mexico, Chile, Peru, France, and Italy. So if you are a US based business, that's irrelevant. And now, do I recommend the meta verification for personal accounts? I don't personally have one. My clients that have them, I don't see a huge difference in their reach or engagement. So people used to say that, you got a bump in reach if you had meta verified. Meh. The people that I know that have done it just haven't experienced that. So I mean, I would probably actually pay for it if only because you get to talk to an actual person if you ever get locked out of your account, which has happened to me and was absolutely terrible. It's still unclear if I was hacked or if I just forgot my password 10 too many times. But either way, I was locked out of my account for 6 weeks, which also resulted in me being locked out of client accounts. And it was a whole big mess. But being able to talk to someone would have been super helpful and probably saved me weeks of headaches and lots of tears. So if that's important to you, if you have that fear or if you've experienced getting hacked before, then yeah, maybe, I don't know, test it out for yourself and make your own decision. I don't have strong opinions one way or another on Meta Verified, but I do know the Meta Verified for business. Are they testing it out? Could it come to the US? Maybe. But again, we know from Meta Verified that I don't think that there is a huge benefit. At least there is not a huge enough benefit that I would ever recommend any of my clients dump $350 on a Meta Verified package versus you want to spend that $350 somewhere, spend it on ads. Spend it on ads. Get your reach. Attract new audiences. That's probably a better use of your money. The final big update, and this just came out this week, and I actually have the Social Media Today article up because I was just reading it the other day. So, longer reels, and there's been this whole debate on like the actual most effective length of content for reels. And soon I'm going to bring on a Reels expert and I want to hear all of her like Reels strategy and how she does it for small businesses. I think she's going to be great. But basically, a couple of weeks ago, Instagram had this big creator event in New York City and Adam Mosseri kind of answered a bunch of questions about the platform. So what kind of hurts distribution of your content? And the 5 points that they had on their slide, and I will link to this article in my show notes, is engagement bait, which I kind of call BS on personally. Reels over 90 seconds, so longer reels, videos with third-party watermarks. We talked about this. Don't do it. Like, no, do not do it. Don't reshare your content from TikTok without taking that watermark away. Low quality videos. So make sure you're getting that highest quality video that you can and posting content that you didn't make. We talked about that also. So those are the things that are most likely to hurt your reach. Do I think that basically like longer reels are effective in social media strategy? If you want to post longer videos, go to YouTube. YouTube's kind of almost like another form of organic content out there that's probably almost as effective as having a blog post because it's so SEO driven. So if you want to do that, then create those longer form videos and put them on YouTube. 5-minute or less videos tend to do really well for some people. I personally need to start putting my podcast videos up on YouTube. I'm not there yet though, but they will get up there eventually. But making sure that your reels are super effective. I was just having a conversation with a client last week about, she likes snappy, quick storytelling reels. So ones that have like 2 to 3 different kind of images in them or short B-roll type content, type videos that kind of tell that story. So like if you want to share like talking head type videos, keep them to like under a minute. If you want to share B-roll type reels, I would say keep them like 10 to 20 seconds. Because really, like that first 5 to 7 seconds is what's really going to make a difference as to if someone is going to scroll. Some people might even say 3 to 5 seconds. So have a super effective hook and just keep it real. No pun intended. Pun maybe intended. Anyhow, so those are kind of like the biggest Instagram updates that have come out recently that I really wanted to share kind of my take on them. Obviously, Instagram is always coming out with new algorithm updates. Talking about the real length, Instagram had been experimenting with like 3 minute and 10 minute reel uploads, again, in competition with TikTok. I'm pretty sure that those didn't perform so well. Like Instagram is not an app that I go to for longer form content. Like if I want longer form content, I'm just going to go to TikTok or YouTube. That's not, again, entertainment industry. So think about that with your reel strategy. If you want to talk more about reels, feel free to schedule a strategy session with me. I am always happy to talk content strategy and social media strategy. And if you want an audit of your content, feel free to reach out. Just visit my website, fill out the contact us form, and we can get something scheduled. Those are always a great place to start, especially if you're like, hey, I want to be doing better. What can I be doing better? And with most of my strategy sessions, I do include an audit. So that is all for today. I feel like this was a little bit of a shorter podcast, but I'm okay with that because it was super specific and I hope it was super helpful. So please be sure to leave a review. I think on Apple and Spotify. I'm still new. I'm still learning where you leave reviews. If you have a question, feel free to drop a question to me at hello@HeidiJSchmidt.com or Heidi@HeidiJSchmidt.com, and we will answer that on a future podcast. I love Ask Me Anything podcasts. Those are always super fun for me to listen to, so I look forward to providing those in the future. As always, be sure to like and follow and share and recommend podcasts to anyone that you think would benefit from all of this social media information. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram or Facebook at Heidi Schmidt Creative. Have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you all again soon. Thanks for listening.